Hi guys, it's Blackie. Okay, welcome back to the channel. Okay, today for the Silver Wolves, we're going to follow along that line we've been talking about on how to smooth it a little bit. Now, as you recall, a couple of videos ago, I talked about using a sterno can for a simple, easy way to heat up something in the field. I just want some warm coffee. I just want to warm up something. That's it. And many of you in the comments said, Blackie, that's not sufficient. It won't boil water. It won't whatever. That is correct. It's what am I doing and what am I bringing? How much effort am I putting into my daily meal? I'm here to smooth it, right? So most of us of the Silver Wolf clan, we grew up having to carry our lunch to school, didn't we? And so it's not a big deal for me to make up a sandwich at home when weather conditions allow it, where it's not going to spoil in the heat of my beloved South. Let's say it's in the fall or something and it's a fairly cool day and I can afford to tote a sandwich wrapped up in aluminum foil. All I'm wanting is some coffee to go with it, or some hot tea or hot chocolate, just a little bit to warm me up. That sterno works absolutely fine. Well, then we took it up one more notch, and that time we talked about those sternos that I had found that got the wick on them and produced much hotter flame and a 6-hour burn time. That will bring water, as I showed in that video, to a low rolling boil in just a few minutes, and will be more than sufficient for heating up and doing some basic stuff. So that opens up a little bit bigger menu, right? Now I can heat things up to a higher degree. If I'd let it going 10 or 15 minutes, it would probably brought that little bitty canteen cup to a boil. And I could have made ramen, pastas, things like that. Again, something I could carry along in that day. Well, today we're going to take it up one more notch. And what we're going to talk about is how we can carry something small and compact and still be able to have a greater ability to cook in the field. Okay? Now, what we're going to talk about is a Trangia. Now, let me show you a Trangia up close. Okay, this is one of the kettles like you get offline. And this one is made by GSI. I've had it for several years. And I like this as a cooking pot, water heat pot, and etc. Inside of it, what I've got is one of the Trangia stove sets. Now, it is a Trangia stove and a cook stand. Now, this cook stand, you can either sit it in here like this, so it's sitting on these fingers and suspending it. This is very good when you've got very cold ground, like you're on snow or something super cold. Since the reason that these Trangias are brass, for those of you that may not understand the workup of it, there's a series of tiny holes around, and this is where you pour the fuel, and it burns denatured alcohol. This denatured alcohol, when you set it on fire, will heat up, and that heat will transfer to this entire stove, getting it very hot. As it does, the fuel, which is down in here, there's a double wall. You see this wall right here, there's little drain holes. So the fuel will flow from the center out here into this outer ring inside, and that will get hot and begin to boil, and that pressurizes and comes out of these jets as a jet of flame. Fairly quickly, in like 2 to 3 minutes, this will look like a eye on your stove at home with a gas jet where it's blue flames coming up about that high. Now remember, alcohol flames are just about impossible to see in daylight, so you can't stick your finger down here and say, is that hot? It'll burn you. So you always hold your hand way above it like this to see if there's heat coming off. If you've lit it, see if it's still going. But that's how this works. Well, because of that, in cold conditions, if this is sitting on snow or some cold rock or something, it keeps this from heating up. The alcohol doesn't boil as well, and you don't get as much of a burn. So to insulate that, this little stove it's got these wings on it. And that allows it to suspend it so it's actually not sitting, it's hanging in the air, and would heat up better and be more efficient. You simply put the fuel in, like I said, ignite it. When you're done, you take the O-ring out of here, or you have the snuffer lid, and you snuff it out right quick to put the flame out. Okay? And then you can store it with fuel in it because it's got that O-ring. You can screw it down like that and it can be carried full of fuel. So I can carry this and this. How long is the run time on this? I have used this one to about 30 to 40 minutes. So full fuel load is 30 to 40 minutes. Plenty of time to heat up chow. So if I'm going to be packing light, a kettle like this, with the stove inside of it and the lid on, and then in the outer area around here, I could put something I'm going to eat. Let's say I've got a pasta dish I want to take with me. I can simply take a Ziploc bag, a quart Ziploc bag, transfer it out of the box into here, and then mold this and put it inside of it, and then put my stove down in the middle of it. So when I get there, all I got to do is take it out, add water, set this down, set that down, set the pot on top of it. Now I like, for cooking, I like a broad, wide base rather than the tall ones. A lot of today, you're seeing a lot of the guys in the backpacking and stuff, and I've even had featured in a couple of my videos, the tall, narrow cups, something kind of like this size, you know what I'm talking about. And those are good for boiling water, but they don't give you any surface area to fry in, and you got to have a long spoon to reach down the bottom of it to eat out of, right? Whereas a broad thing like that makes it easy for me to eat out of it, and it gives me a wide area to fry in. So if I'm going to sit up here and I'm going to cook something, actually cook something, like raw meat or whatever, bacon or whatever, I want a broad surface so I've got plenty of room to put food in and work, as opposed to a narrow little up and down cut. Those jet boils you see advertised, many people in the comments brought them up, are a fantastic thing when you're heating up water or doing boiling things like the pasta we talked about, where I dump it in. Yes, just carry a long spoon. But if you want to fry bacon, fry a hunk of meat or something like that, that's only like a 2.5 inch circle at the bottom of that thing. That's going to be kind of scorchy. You're going to be down there constantly raking chunks. And it's not as advantageous as a wide pot is. But let's get back to this pot. So I'm going to want to heat up something to eat, okay? Why not kick it up a notch and do two things simultaneously? So let's say I've got this package of pulled pork. This is a metal foil package, okay? What if I was to put this package, squeezing all the food down to the bottom of it, like that, because the bottom will blouse out open, and sit that just like this in this pot, and then fill it up with water. Put it on here and go to cooking. Now when I get done, after say about 8 minutes, 10 minutes of boiling, all I got to do is pull this out, and I've got a pot of boiling water. I could add rice or whatever to that pot of water and have an additional meal to go with it, like barbecue and rice. Or I could then take the pot, pour me a cup of instant coffee, and with the remaining water, dump in rice, pasta, instant soup mix or something, to have a separate side to go with my main meal. See what I'm saying? How about I want to heat up a bigger hunk of meat, like this whole can of Spam. I can put that can into this Ziploc bag and then put that in there and put the water around it. So my water stays clean relatively, and we'll address the plastics and stuff in just a second, guys. But my water stays clean relatively, and so that whenever it's good and hot, I can pull it out, have that heated up on a cold day to slice up, split with me and my buddy or whatever, see. I could also put it in here and put it in the middle, and then on either side of it in here in the middle like this, with that hunk of meat like that, on either side. In fact, I could do it in the can, couldn't I? I could just pop the lid on it and set this can, pull this wrapper off, so it's just a bare can. put it in there, and in these spaces on either side, crack an egg and have poached eggs and spam for breakfast. Now we're cutting it. Really easy. It's using your equipment, focusing on it and how it's going to work. So, heating up a whole can of Spam. As I said, I can pop the top, take this paper label off, and set the can in there and just warm it up. I'm not going to fry it in that can. I'm just going to heat it up to where it's edible, it's ready to go, it's warm, right? Pouches, same way. I can carry dry goods in a bag and dump in here and cook them, and then in the same water heat up something else simultaneously. I can make soup to drink. One of my favorite things to do in the winter was I would carry bouillon cubes, and I would make up chicken bouillon while I was immersion heating something else and drink the hot chicken broth like you drink coffee or something like that. I grew up poor, and I can remember my grandmother in the winter saving juices and stuff, liquid and stuff, like where you'd boil meat in or what. We called it pot liquor. And so chicken broth, beef broth, stuff like that would be saved and would be given in a cup in the next meal, where you'd have the main meal, but you'd also heat that up and you'd drink that broth rather than drinking some of the beverage, because you're still trying to get all the food content that went into that water back in you. So if I boiled it and it tastes good, why not use it as a beverage to go with my other meal, my next meal? See? Now, as well as the little tea kettle, this is one of my favorite old sets. This is my all-time favorite little bitty cool handle skillet. It says a 8 up here on the handle, so it's an 8-inch, I guess. That will fit up there just fine. I can easily fry in this by utilizing a Trangia. The heat is more than sufficient to fry with. I recommend, if you're going to get a Trangia and you're planning on frying, get a simmer ring so you can tone the heat down, because you can also burn real fast. Now, let's take a look up close a second. Okay, this is that 8-inch cool handle. It weighs nothing. I've carried this for God knows how many years on camping, rendezvousing, etc. It was one of my all-time favorite pans. And a lot of people don't get that the Boy Scout mess kit, the original, the steel one, is exactly the same size. The handle is different, but it's exactly the same size. And this is one of those steel, or excuse me, this one's the aluminum, but I have a steel, a tin steel as well, of those pots. They work very, very well. Again, a nice broad base to use up there. Now, one of the distinct advantages of the cool handles for use on a fire is this thin metal heats up very quickly and easily. So you can use less heat to get the same desired effect, okay? Whereas a cast iron skillet is fantastic for cooking, but it requires more heat, more saturation to get it up to cooking temp, where this is almost at cooking temp about as fast as you put it on the thing. In fact, I braised a steak in this very pan for my friend Trinity at Pathfinder by setting it on a Trangia, and I grilled a steak in this. I pan-seared a steak with garlic and butter and rosemary in this very quickly. And it was like, put it on, drop the butter in, pick up the steak, the butter is already melting, lay it on top, and it instantly went to sizzling. So just short of laying it in raw flame, one of these is very fast and quick, and it doesn't weigh anything. Add in one of these older Boy Scout pots, soup pots, and they work just fine. Now what I've done is just tie a loop through there that I can easily untie to that lid so that I can take it off and not have it on there for cooking. But this sets together really easily in here, All you gotta do is just hook the handle over, hook that cord over, come down, there, and it will stay just like that. So you can slide it in and out of a pack. The Trangia stove provides plenty of heat for cooking, frying, boiling, and etc. In fact, with the simmer ring, which has got a little lever up here, it's a little flap you close, you can tone it down and get a long simmer. It's got a run time of about somewhere around 40 to 45 minutes. So that sterno I showed in the last video has a 6-hour run time. This has a much shorter run time, but it produces a whole lot more heat. So if I'm going to be frying up something, then this might be the better way to go. However, in being honest, if I was using a real thin skillet like this as well, that sterno, that wick would work just as well, because this thin metal heats up so fast, and therefore might be just as good of a cooking set. Now, in conclusion, what we're saying here, you determine what you're going to take on your hike, on your overnight, on your day trip. Then you select what cooking vessel you need to make that happen. Then you select whatever heat source you need to go with that to make it happen. So if all I'm doing requires basic heating, sterno. If I'm going to be needing a little bit more, probably actually bring it up to a low boil. That 6-hour can work just fine. I'm actually going to be frying something in here, an actual Trangia. We still have not got big or bulky. We're still making it where we can smooth it. That stove and the little stand it goes on, and if you kind of cock it a little bit, it'll drop underneath them legs. You can put it underneath. Fits quite well inside one of these kettles, like that. Now add some rice or stuff on the inside as a padding, and it won't even rattle. So maybe all I need is a kettle, because I'm making hot water, or I'm making coffee, or I'm going to do immersion heating. That kettle, which I've used it many, many times, does the job. If I need to carry a little bitty fry pan, I can. But I'm not going to carry gear I'm not planning on using. If there's nothing in my menu that's going to require frying, I'm not toting that steel skillet. There's no need on it. Break down your gear for the need of your event. When you're going, what you're doing, how long it's going to be needed for. If I'm only going to need this for an afternoon, I don't even have to carry extra fuel for that Trangia, now do I? If I'm going to heat something up in 10 minutes and it runs for 40 something, that's at least 3 full burns before I run out of fuel. At least 3, with a little bit of a buffer zone in there, because it being 40 to 45. So 3 10s is 30. I've got 10 to 15 minutes extra fuel there. And so I wouldn't even have to carry additional fuel. I select what I'm going to carry for eating, and then apply it to the pot, and the pot is applied to the stove. Now when I go up to the next level above this, that's when you're going to bring out one of them actual propane stoves, a Coleman stove, one of the backpacking stoves that's got a fuel cylinder or a fuel canister or whatever. That's when those really come into being, because I need a lot of heat for duration, because I'm cooking something that's going to have to be on the stove for 45 minutes or an hour of continuous cooking. So, and therefore I would need duration, whereas one of them big Coleman stoves with the full tank is going to run a couple hours. And I have fried fish with one, I have baked, I can do anything you can do on a home stove, I can do on that Coleman. But that's not a backpacking thing, is it? That's a camping. That's a car camping, a truck camping, a RV camping. That's where I got conveyance to haul the gear to the field. This I'm going to haul on my back, because it's not very heavy, and it gives me so much versatility for the size and weight. Hope you've enjoyed this, guys. If you have, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button before you go. I'd really appreciate it. So I hope to see you there. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.